Switch into German. Wir treffen uns heute hier, meine Damen und Herren, nördlich des Polarkreises, während der Krieg im Nahen und Mittleren Osten andauert. Soweit der hohe Norden, wo wir hier sind, geografisch von Teheran entfernt sein mag, so direkt wirken sich doch die Kämpfe im Iran auch auf unsere Sicherheit und auf unsere Energieversorgung aus. Wichtige Ziele der Vereinigten Staaten und Israels teilen wir. Iran darf Israel und andere Nachbarn nicht bedrohen. Sein Nuklearprogramm und sein ballistisches Raketenprogramm müssen beendet werden. Iran muss aufhören, im eigenen Land und über die Region hinaus Terror zu unterstützen. Doch mit jedem Kriegstag stellen sich mehr Fragen als Antworten gegeben werden. Vor allem wird immer deutlicher, es braucht einen überzeugenden Plan. Es braucht eine Strategie, wie dieser Krieg zu einem Ende geführt werden soll. Derweil sehen wir eine gefährliche Eskalation. Der Iran greift wahllos Staaten in der Region an, darunter enge Partner und Verbündete auch unseres Landes, von Deutschland. Die Straße von Hormuz ist praktisch unpassierbar geworden. Wir verurteilen das auf das Schärfste. Wir haben kein Interesse an einem endlosen Krieg, einen Zerfall der territorialen Integrität, der Staatlichkeit oder der wirtschaftlichen Lebensfähigkeit des Iran hätte schwerwiegende Folgen auch für uns. Deswegen brauchen wir jetzt eine Perspektive für eine Friedensordnung. Wir haben beraten und ich bin sehr dankbar dafür, dass wir das tun konnten und gleich noch weiter fortsetzen werden, auch die Zusammenarbeit in der Energiepolitik. Wir haben dafür gestern einige Weichen gestellt, aber wir werden auch in Zukunft schauen, dass wir eine gemeinsame energiepolitische Strategie entwickeln. Wir brauchen innerhalb der Europäischen Union zusammen mit unseren kanadischen Partnern, zusammen mit Norwegen, die ja bekanntlich der Europäischen Union nicht angehören, gemeinsame Strategien jetzt auch in der Energieversorgung, gemeinsame Strategien auch in der Entwicklung von Satellitenprogrammen und des Weltraums. Das alles sind Themen, die wir hier intensiv diskutieren und ich freue mich sehr darüber, dass wir das im Zuge auch einer solchen praktischen Anschauung machen können wie dieser Übung. Was die Bundeswehr hier leistet, auch das will ich gerne doch noch einmal sagen, ist wirklich überzeugend. Auch an dieser Stelle verteidigt die Bundeswehr Deutschland und ich möchte das auch wiederholen, was ich von den Kommandeuren und auch von meinen Partnern hier gehört habe. Die deutschen Soldaten erfreuen sich höchster Anerkennung und höchsten Respektes, auch für den Stand ihrer Ausbildung. Und deswegen möchte ich auch den deutschen Soldatinnen und Soldaten, die an dieser Übung hier teilnehmen, ganz herzlich Dank sagen. Gut, dass Sie dabei sind.
Thank you very much. It's great that you're here. And please come back safely.
Well, thank you, Prime Minister Støre, dear Jonas, and Chancellor, dear Friedrich. This is an incredibly important exercise for Canada. And I think where I'd like to start is to echo comments of my colleagues, is that what we begin with is the strength of our common values. We are like-minded. We hold basic values constantly dear. But we're recognizing at the same time the value of our strength. We're all investing heavily in our defense and security, and we all recognize that we are much stronger together. Stronger together when we cooperate in areas such as space, cooperate in defense, but also cooperate with other like-minded nations, and there's no better illustration than Operation Cold Response. Over 30,000 women and men, 14 nations, working together, learning together, integrating systems, preparing to defend our citizens. So it is incredibly important for Canada to be a participant in this with our special forces. We're learning a lot. I think hopefully we're passing on a few lessons. We'll take this forward. We will protect our own territories. We will protect the high north, the Arctic, and in doing so we will protect NATO, we'll protect freedom, democracy, and human rights. Just a couple of words about our commitment to defense. A year ago, our new government was first sworn in, and within the first week, we went to our Arctic and made a commitment. We made a commitment to change fundamentally our defense strategy, to be present 365 days a year in land, sea, and air, in a territory that is 40% of our landmass and 75% of our coastline. I would add also a territory that shares a 3,000-kilometer border with the European Union. Part of that commitment comes with major investment. We announced yesterday over $40 billion of investments in the Arctic, in defense and security, and economic security. And then that is part of a bigger set of investments consistent with commitments we all made less than a year ago in
The Hague.
in The Hague. I was going to say in The Hague. I wanted to say Hamburg because you were here, Friedrich, but in The Hague. Made commitments there for Canada. Those commitments translate to $500 billion of additional spending on defense and security over the course of the next decade. C'est à peu près 500 milliards de dollars sur des dépenses sur la défense et la sécurité d'ici 2035. Au fond, c'est une question de partenariat et des questions des valeurs communes que nous partageons. So, fundamental learnings from this exercise, fundamental strength that comes from the partnership that we have. Thank you for hosting us. I look forward to moving forward together. And, of course, we all look forward to your questions. Thank you very much.
And then we open up for questions. And the first questions come from the Norwegian news agency, Bibiana Dale Pine. So if you please go to the microphone down there. Yes. Next to the cameras, please.
Hello, hi. I can't see you anymore, but hopefully you can hear me. I'd like to pick up on something that Mr. Merz said about the war in Iran. And being here with Russia as the sort of intended enemy, I'm wondering if you could share your thoughts about what the war in Iran and the easing of the oil sanctions against Russia, what will that have to say for the war in Ukraine? What will be the implications? So, thank you.
Well, let me start by saying that we are entering the 5th year of a full-scale aggression from Russia against Ukraine, and Ukraine has had to live with events beyond Ukraine taking attention away from this completely unacceptable situation they are in. So the first thing is that when there is dramatic things happening elsewhere, there is less attention on keeping pressure on Russia, supporting Ukraine's defense. The 3 countries standing here are consistent in supporting Ukraine, even if the focus may be somewhere else. In fact, we have from Norway and Germany, I think, will be the major providers of support, and also from Canada to Ukraine's ongoing efforts. And it's our view, and I speak for Norway now, and I think we share that view, that there needs to be more pressure on Russia to stop this unacceptable war. And from my perspective, I think that there should be no pressure on the energy side taken off Russia. It needs to be consistent, and it needs to be felt from the Russian side so that they will come to the negotiation table, accept the ceasefire, and accept a just and durable peace.
Well, I fully agree with what Prime Minister Støre just said. As you all know, we had a video conference with the G7 leaders on Wednesday, and 6 out of 7 were clearly the opinion that we should not release the sanctions against Russia. And we were a little bit surprised that we heard this morning that the American government decided differently. This is definitely not our view. We are sharing the 6 out of 7 that this should be not the case because Russia is benefiting from that, and we are seeing this into the different direction. We should put more pressure on Russia to bring this terrible war to an end as soon as possible, and that's the reason why we are having a different view on this decision, which was obviously taken in D.C. last night.
Yes. I'll just reinforce that. Entirely agree. Canada's position is to maintain sanctions on Russia, maintain sanctions, including on the Shadow Fleet, which is moving this oil. You know, there has been very tight cooperation between Russia and Iran at great cost to the people of Ukraine and a great threat to peace and security in Europe. And this group, under the leadership of the two gentlemen to my right, and a broader coalition of the willing, has stood up to that. In providing the framework for security guarantees, stood up to that in terms of providing support and training and materiel to Ukraine. All of us have contributed considerably to the defense of Ukraine, stood up to it in terms of sanctions, which we stand by and will continue to do so.
The next question is from Catherine Tunney, CBC.
On va faire un petit changement. Ce sera Valérie Gamache de Radio-Canada. Monsieur Carney, d'abord, si vous pouviez répéter en français ce que vous venez de dire sur la position du Canada par rapport à la levée des sanctions américaines contre le pétrole russe. Et ensuite, si on pouvait vous entendre, can you answer the question? Will it be any G7 meeting discussing the American decision? And is any one of you has the intention to talk to Donald Trump about his decision, trying to maybe convince him to back up on it?
OK. Je vais commencer. En ce qui concerne les sanctions canadiennes contre la Russie, on va les garder. C'est clair, c'est simple. Et la situation demeure la même. C'est la faute de la Russie, cette guerre horrible en Ukraine, et c'est la position du Canada de soutenir l'Ukraine tout le temps. C'est pas le moment d'enlever la pression sur la Russie, surtout parce que la Russie et l'Iran sont des grands alliés. OK? Alors, au fond, j'espère que ça suffit. In terms of a G7 meeting, I'm sure there will be additional G7 meetings. The convening of those meetings is the responsibility of the presidency. We all have direct lines into the president, and we'll use them. There is value in having broader G7 discussions. I'll make a final point with the countries of the GCC, who have shown enormous restraint and heroism, I might add, in terms of their response to the ceaseless attacks by Iran on them, particularly on civilians and civilian infrastructure.
So, Chancellor, will you ask a meeting to President Macron about the American decision?
Well, we will have the opportunity to speak with each other over the weekend, and we will check what we can do. And I'm totally agreeing with what Mark Carney said about the sanctions, and this is our view, and this is shared by most of the G7 members, and we will figure out what we can do to keep them ongoing and to increase them instead of releasing them.
The next questions come from Mr. Rinke, Reuters.
I have a question to Prime Minister Carney. You just said that we are stronger together if we work together. So my question would be about submarines. Why does Canada not buy the offer Germany and Norway have made? Why are you still thinking about why are you still thinking about a South Korean offer? And a question to the Chancellor and Mr. Støre. What could you actually offer on addition of the offer which was made by the company to Canada to make it more appealing to accept it?
Well, let me answer this in a way that doesn't put pressure on my two colleagues, which is that all of our governments are making enormous additional investments in defense and security, rightly so. But all of us are doing so in a way that is responsible with taxpayer dollars, that look to ensure that those investments have the maximum effect in terms of providing defense and security to our citizens, and also build partnerships that have broader industrial and economic benefits for all of us together. What does that mean from a process perspective? Is you run a very clear, consistent, transparent, open, fair process. And the reason I'm not going to answer your question is we're towards the final stages of that. We're at the final stages of that, and we're blessed by having options, very much including the German-Norwegian option. Thank you.
Well, let me say that the offer from Norway and Germany was handed to Canada a few days ago, and I have every confidence that the Canadians will make a thorough evaluation of that offer. So I'll let the technical details lie. Just want to say that from our experience, investing together in these kind of very comprehensive capacities is more about than the capacities. It is also building industrial partnership and strategic and security policy partnership. So when Norway and Germany are integrating on submarines and on tanks, as we have seen here, it means also a very strong political integration between mature and trusted allies. So we get much closer in the way we share outlook on security environment, on security threats, and it's also kind of a cultural dimension of bringing us together, which provides Norway net security by those kind of common projects. So I think that's the whole idea. These are major investments, as Prime Minister Carney says. We are making decisions on spending a lot of money on this, which means that we can spend less money on other important issues in our societies. And in addition to investing in these capacities, you know, when we do it together, we get an extra political dimension, which is very important for Norwegian security.
Well, I fully agree with what my colleagues said. This is covering the entire picture of, the one hand, spending money for the right equipment, on the other hand, to standardize, to bring more standards into NATO, and to scale up the numbers. So this is, in my view, extremely important. And we're talking about, and as Mark Carney said, we are in the final stage of our talks, and I'm very much hoping that we can convince the Canadian partners to do that, what we want to see them to do.
The next question comes from TV2, Simen Grimstad Øksnes.
Hello. Norwegian authorities repeatedly emphasize that the United States is Norway's most important ally. Do the German Chancellor and the Canadian Prime Minister still believe that the US can be trusted when it comes to security in the north?
Yes.
Yes. Is that? Do you want me to elaborate on that? We have our defense of the North is integrated. I'll give an example through NORAD, which is, since for my entire lifetime, has been the integrated listening post air defense system in the Canadian North and High Arctic, fundamentally integrated with the United States. So we have that level of trust for that system. But I will say at the same time, and this was a huge element of what we announced yesterday, is that we are, as Canada, are taking control and responsibility for defense of our Arctic, more control and responsibility for defense of our Arctic. We will do that by very large investments, some of which we announced yesterday, and we will do that in partnership with our closest allies, very much including Norway and Germany, and if I may broaden Norway to include the Nordic countries and the Baltic countries to some degree, because there's an integration of the Nordic-Baltic Gate through NATO. So we're broadening out those partnerships. That makes us stronger, as does taking more of the responsibility ourselves. Thank you.
Can I add one dimension to this? And I think one reason why we can say that we trust is that being present in cooperation with the United States in the north is also homeland security for the United States. This is about protecting Norway, but by protecting Norway, keeping low tensions, avoiding conflict here, it is net positive for the security of the United States. We believe that is self-interest. So yes.
But when U.S. eases the sanctions on Russia, doesn't that create a different picture?
We have made it clear that we disagree with that decision, and disagreements appear among countries. Let's be honest about that.
Yeah. Okay.
The next question is from Valérie Ganache, Radio-Canada.
Sorry, we did a little switch. It's Catherine Tunney from CBC. My question is for all three of you. As you know, Trump has ordered a 301 investigation into major economies, including your own, alleging unfair labor practices. My question is, do you think that is valid? And Prime Minister Carney, if you'll allow me to double barrel a question in the rain, but many Canadians are probably looking at that latest job report with some worry, some 84,000 jobs lost, the worst in years. What does that say about your handle of things?
Okay, well, maybe I'll start, so I'll get rid of the both elements of it. Look, if you look at the performance of the labor market over the course of the last 6 months, we've created over 80,000 jobs net over the last 6 months. The United States has created 6,000 jobs. Okay, the United States, 11 times the size of our economy. Wages are growing at 4.2%, fastest wage growth in years. Unemployment 6.7% is lower than the peak the level when I came into office a year ago. There's no question, though, because it goes to the first part of your question. Now I'll move to that, which is that given the scale of the trade actions, the uncertainty that is associated as well as with the trade actions by the United States, that is causing big adjustments in the Canadian economy. And that's why we're making major investments across a whole range of areas. I won't go through them all. I think you're probably familiar with them. In terms of the U.S. 301 actions announced today against 60 countries, I guess the first thing I'd say is I welcome the fact that the United States cares about labor practices in other countries. The allegation is not labor practices in our countries. It's imports from countries who would be using forced labor or slave labor. Canada has a comprehensive legal framework around that, as is the case to my right, and we take it very seriously, and we stand by our adherence to Canadian law. Yes, there are provisions in USMCA related to labor standards, but there are stronger provisions in Canadian law against forced labor, and we expect those to be followed. And when they're not, they are prosecuted. Thank you.
No, I'm sorry. So I'm sorry. The last question today is Mrs. Siebert from Table Media.
Thank you. Eine Frage an den Bundeskanzler. Sie haben den Iran eben erwähnt. Würden Sie es unterstützen, dass die Europäer oder die Deutschen mit den Iranern in direkten Kontakt treten, damit die Straße von Hormuz wieder geöffnet wird? And one question for all of you. You have emphasized that you are showing here that the North is able to defend itself. When looking at this, would you say that the conflict looking at Greenland is completely settled with the U.S. as of now?
Well, wir unternehmen alle Anstrengungen, um diesen Krieg im Iran und mit dem Iran zu beenden. Alle diplomatischen Kanäle werden genutzt und wir hoffen, dass wir Wege finden, diesen Krieg so schnell wie möglich zu beenden, weil er niemandem nutzt und vielen schadet.
And it harms many economically. It also harms us. And the second part of the question, we are working closely together. We try to find ways for us to cooperate even more closely. We show it with our presence here today, and this is the right way forward that we have embarked on together, and will continue to do so in the coming years. Yeah.
Of the Kingdom of Denmark, and it's up to the people in Greenland and in Denmark to trace the future for the people in Greenland. And any attempt to say that a country can take land from another country is unacceptable. It's not acceptable to international law, and especially something which should be unheard of among allies.
And I will just fully associate myself with that. I've said it in the past, and I just add this because it goes to what's happening here, is that we're fully prepared individually and collectively to defend the Arctic and the High North. What this operation is about, this training exercise, is to further build those capabilities against Russia, against any external threat. And of course, that very much includes Denmark as one of the 14 countries that's participating. It's also the case with Arctic Sentry within NATO and other frameworks. So we will deal with the security threats as partners, not as individuals. Thank you.
Okay.
And on that note, we need to wrap up this press conference. Thank you so much.
Very good.